It is no surprise that the eastern lands are filled to the brim with interesting locales, secrets, and personalities, and the central hub where all of those things facilitate is the eccentric courts. Here, the player, with a skill requirement of 90 agility, can come across a very unique adventure known as the Tengu. The Tengu is actually not just a person, but more of a collection of principles, of various disciplines, in the form of a sentient mask named Tsuyobo, who is worn by a sky orphan named Shinao. But before we delve into the individual voyages, let's understand the creators of the mask. In what would later be established as the Tengu Archipelago, a small chain of islands in the Shield region, Tsuyobo describes the story of their beginning. It reads,
The Gu have humble origins. A group of 10 like-minded individuals banded together to protect a small town from attack by a group of bird demons. Each of the 10 brought a different skill to the group, and each of them were pivotal to the success of their defense. After saving that village, the locals wished for them to remain, to live among them as saviors and friends. Thus, the Gu were born.
The Tengu saviors would become the first of the great sages, and go on to form their respective Kichings. As Tsuyobo continues, it reads,
Those 10 saviors became the first of the great Gu sages, each of them seeking to master their disciplines and teaching their new neighbors of their expertise. Word spread, and many pilgrims made their way to the village to learn from these great sages. Before long, the Gu sent out envoys and started to spread their knowledge and charity beyond that village and the island it stood on. The 10 Gu sages created a charter for how these envoys should conduct themselves in the world. The Way of the Gu, a guiding principle for all who followed in their footsteps.
The Way of the Gu provides 10 ways in which one can view the world and seek to improve it for all. They are as follows. The Way of the Warrior, to master the martial arts in order to protect those that cannot protect themselves. The Way of the Scholar, to learn about the world from the written and spoken word, and then to spread that knowledge to others. The Way of the Wanderer, to learn about the world from first-hand experience through adventure and travel. The Way of the Artist, to spread joy and knowledge through artistic expression. The Way of the Musician, to use music and song to remember the past and celebrate the present. The Way of the Prankster consists of the use of humor as a great healer. The Way of the Orator consists of actors, public speakers, and teller of stories. The Way of the Maker consists of makers of armor, folders of swords, and builders for boats. The Way of the Gourmand, a mix of art and craft, perfecting recipes and helping to feed the hungry. And lastly, the Way of the Spirit consists of experts in ghost hunting, performers of the last rites, and Gu healers. Among these principles, the Way of Gu dictates that one's path must be followed until the end, whatever the outcome. The Tengu then created Tsuyobo, who had this to say. It reads,
I am the mask of the Tengu. The Tengu are the wise leaders of the benevolent Gu people. They created me as a repository of their wisdom and knowledge. They gave me sentience so I could share this wisdom and judge when one was worthy to hear it. I was filled with benevolence and altruism, but no method to take it out into the world, only imparted upon those who would visit me in my tower.
Meanwhile, a malevolent group known as the Purists and an offshoot known as the Leadfoot were stationed on the island of Renbo in the Scythe region, who were attempting to cleanse the area of sea singers and those born with an affliction that gives a person anatomical features of a fish and other sea creatures, called sea orphans, or characteristics that make them resemble birds or other winged creatures, called sky orphans. It was here that Shinao escaped with his life, the last remaining sky orphan, as his comrades lay strewn among the beach, face down in the sand, and cold to the touch. Stricken with grief, guilt, and shame, Shinao set out to rebuild his image, to reclaim his dignity, to move forward with intention. But first he needed peace. This is when the two came together. Sayobo says,
In his grief he sought solace, and he found it atop Mount Karama, in the highest perch of the temple there. It so happened this place was my home.
As the two linked up, this is where we bring it back to the start of this story. As the Tengu strolls into our quaint port's office, he tells the adventurer that they are vanquishing all evil in the eastern lands, and asks to use our fleet. The Tengu implies that a powerful Oni warlord named Obanok is terrorizing the island of Ajai, seeking gunpowder for large-scale warfare, and wishes to quell the threat. Upon their return, they were successful in killing Obanok, but not before sustaining some serious head injuries that would sideline them for a while. On their second voyage, Sayobo relays that Shinao wishes to travel back to his old home on Teardrop Island in the Hook region, after hearing that a sky orphan spirit haunted it. Upon their return, the Tengu reports that it was not just one sky orphan spirit as expected, but instead there were tons of them. The spirits were angry, and it took them a great deal of effort to return them to rest. They gathered from the spirits that they were purposefully raised by a malicious entity, although unable to say who. They also caught wind that Obanok, the Oni warlord they defeated, was also influenced by an outside party. Looks like there's more than meets the eye here. Possibly another purist plot. In their next mission, they wanted to continue uncovering these schemes that were unfolding, so they decided to take it to the horse's mouth. They would converge on the purist ship off of the coast of Renbo, and as their crew was engaging, Shinao would fly down from the sky to ambush them unaware. When they got back to port, they told the adventurer that the purist's main man, a guy named Benkei, admitted to helping Obanok gather gunpowder in exchange for weapons, and raise the spirits of the deceased sky orphans in exchange for the location of a powerful relic, known as the Feng Huang Feathers, which is said to give the user who possesses them the power of flight and the ability to control the sky orphans. They were to be used to raise an army and kill all of the sea singers in the Wushenko Isles. On the next voyage, the Tengu traveled to Hakasu, a sky orphan temple near the Pearl Fortress in the Pincers region. As they arrived, they could see Benkei making off with the relic, so they attacked him, and a mid-air battle commenced. As the Tengu landed a particular harsh blow, Benkei lost hold of the feathers and started plummeting to the surface, surely to meet his untimely demise. In a quick show of mercy, though, the Tengu swept Benkei out of the sky at the last minute, saving him from certain death. Benkei was so ashamed of his actions, and so shocked by the act of kindness, he swore a life of debt to the Tengu. Benkei then told them who was really pulling the strings, a nasty man named Kakashi, and he had the remaining feathers. In the final mission, Benkei returned back to Kakashi, but this time as a spy. He was able to relay intelligence back to the Tengu that Kakashi was on the verge of attacking the Sea Singers on Paradise, an island in the Pincer region. By the time the Tengu got there, he had already killed a number of them, but Benkei was able to steal the remaining Feng Huang feathers and ending his onslaught for the time being. Kakashi was able to escape, so Benkei remained in his service in order to help the Tengu in the future. Thank you everyone for watching, and please like the video if you enjoyed it, sub for more, and tell me what you thought in the comments down below. Thanks to Xamsesh for reading as Sayobo, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Runescape. Forever.